If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and I will make more good videos for you. The wind howled through the broken steel skeleton of Outpost Theta, where silence had once reigned for centuries. Now it pulsed with dying signals, fading sparks, and blood. Captain Ryla Mendez staggered down the corridor, her left arm useless, and her visor cracked. Static hissed through her earpiece as she reached the communication core, dragging the encrypted SAT drive along the floor behind her like a chained ghost. The last message had to go out. Everything depended on it. Humanity. "Doesn't know," she whispered to herself, voice shaking. "They still don't know," a burst of gunfire echoed behind her. The invaders were coming. Not fast, not loud, but they always came. Cold, methodical, without emotion. Ryla reached the interface panel and slammed the SAT drive into place, fingers fumbling over the cracked console as a blood-streaked countdown flickered to life. The relay dish overhead groaned and began to turn toward Earth, its mechanisms barely responding after the sabotage. Her mind flashed back to the day they landed, not the aliens, the humans. Her team, her friends. And the first lie, we weren't supposed to find anything. General Rourke had said back then, the first time he lied to them all. Theta is a dead station. We're just here to verify records. That was before the corpses, before the voices started repeating in the walls, before they found the signal no one could DECRYPT. And now Rayla knew. It wasn't a message to them. It was a warning from them. From the ones who built this place before humans even left Mars. She'd decrypted the final layer of the transmission an hour ago. The truth was inside, not about the war. Not about the enemy. About Earth, about what Earth had done. You were never meant to survive. The AI had told her, blinking in her visor with a voice that sounded eerily like her mother's. You were the test pattern, the calibration. Earth needed to see how long loyalty lasts when truth dies. She'd wanted to scream, but there was no time. The encryption key activated. The signal prepped, 90 seconds to transmit, just enough. But the footsteps behind her stopped. Too quiet, Ryla. A voice said behind her. She turned slowly. Colonel Aras, burned, bleeding, but very much alive. He shouldn't have been. She watched him fall 2 levels down when the gravity well collapsed. "You're not here," she said. "No," he replied with a smile too calm, "but I remember what you're trying to do." He raised his weapon. She raised her hand. Not. To fight, to finish, 30 seconds left. She screamed and threw herself against the final manual override, slamming her head against the unlock sensor. Blood recognized blood. The satellite opened. Ryla collapsed. Aras lowered his gun. He was never aiming at her. "I wanted to see," he said softly. "If you do it." The countdown hit 0. The signal launched. Somewhere, light years away. Earth received a ping. A message packet arrived at Central Command, tagged classified eyes only. No one moved. Until it opened itself. Until it spoke. "This is Rayla Mendez. If you're hearing this, then you already know something's wrong. What you've been told about Theta, about the war, about the first contact, none of it is true. We found the answer, and it's going to kill you. Unless the message cut out. Back on Theta, Rayla's eyes fluttered, and Aras knelt beside her, whispering, "Unless what?" Her lips trembled. "I never finished it," she said. And then she died. He sat in silence, holding her body, as alarms began to rise all around him. Not enemy alerts. Not weapon locks, return coordinates, someone was coming, but not from Earth. From deep space. From wherever the original builders of the station had gone, and they were answering, **. Dark clouds churned over the Atlantic Command Tower as the emergency. Signal from Outpost Theta rerouted through 100 relays, slicing past military firewalls and civilian networks alike. Inside the command chamber, screens flickered. Text froze mid-breath. General Rourke, older now and colder than ever, stood without blinking as Rayla Mendez's voice played again and again across every encrypted channel. "We found the answer. And it's going to kill you. Unless, then silence. The message had no end. But what shook them wasn't just the words. It was the embedded data string inside her voice print, a string that activated a dormant protocol buried decades ago. Labeled only as Codex Veritas. Where did she get that clearance? Someone whispered. She didn't, Rook said flatly, jaw tight. She inherited it. He didn't explain. Elsewhere, in a shadowed cryovault beneath the tower, a woman's eyes opened. The ice melted slowly around her. Her name was Kayla Mendez, Rayla's sister. And she hadn't been conscious since the day Earth covered up the Theta incident's first signal years ago. She wasn't supposed to wake up again, but Rayla's final message changed everything. Kayla stumbled out of the tube, shaking, coughing, alone, cold, and remembering far too much. They lied to us, she whispered, touching the scar at the base of her neck. She found it. She hadn't seen Ryla in 10 years. The last time was in a hangar. 2 hours before Ryla shipped out to Theta, they had argued, screamed. Ryla had begged Kayla not to testify. Kayla had walked away. I had to protect you, Rayla had said back then, even if it means lying. No. Kayla knew the lie hadn't been to protect her. It had been to protect Earth from itself. She climbed toward the surface, unaware that above her, orbital satellites had begun to flicker and shift. Not fail, reorient every major comms node. On Earth was turning to the same coordinates deep in space. Coordinates embedded in Rayla's dying signal. Coordinates no one had known even existed, except Kayla. She'd seen them once. Buried inside an old AI archive back when she worked in the linguistics division of Mars Command. A script that translated nothing into meaning. Until now, as Kayla emerged under the thunderstorm, a dark ship broke orbit high above. It wasn't human. It hadn't been built. It had grown. Shaped like a tier of obsidian, it hovered silently, absorbing radar and redirecting energy into itself. Waiting. It wasn't attacking. It was listening. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Theta, Colonel Ara stood near Rayla's body, unmoving until a shadow crossed the shattered corridor. He didn't raise his weapon. He knew who it was. Hello, Commander Vey. The woman who stepped forward wore no insignia, no armor, no emotion. Her eyes shimmered silver. You delayed the signal, she said flatly. I didn't stop it. Delay is deviation. Deviation invites recursion. The builders will not tolerate recursion. I had to know, Aras said, standing tall. Why? She did it. Vey tilted her head. She was human. That's not an answer. It is the only answer that matters. Suddenly, a tone echoed through the crumbling chamber. The same tone heard in Earth Command. The same pattern unfolding. Across the stars. A voice cold and ancient filled the air. First seed confirmed. Vessel awakened. Truth retrieval in process. Response initiation. 72 hours. Aras blinked. Response? The message was a key, Vey said, walking past him. Now the door opens, and what's on the other side doesn't knock. On Earth, Kayla was being escorted by black-clad soldiers to a subterranean hangar she never knew existed. One of them handed her an old data Pedrala's. It was still warm. The screen lit up with her sister's final entry. If you're reading this, Kayla, then I failed. And now it's up to you. There's a second message. I couldn't send it, not with me. It's still on Theta, in the archive chamber they never told us about. You have 72 hours. Or we lose everything. Kayla stared at the blinking coordinates. The ship behind her powered up. And far across the galaxy, deep in the void, something turned toward Earth with purpose. It had heard the signal, and it remembered Rayla's voice. The jump through the relay gate ripped like glass through cloth. Kayla Mendez gritted her teeth as the prototype stealth craft emerged from subspace directly above. Outpost Theta. What remained of the station spun slowly in the cold, dying orbit of a long-forgotten moon. It looked worse than the pictures, gutted, twisted, but she felt it. Rayla's presence lingered like a scar in the metal. Approach vector steady, said the ship's onboard AI, a voice Kayla didn't recognize. It wasn't military. It sounded human, almost too human. Warning, residual power surges detected, unknown life signs still active. She didn't ask what kind. She already knew. As the docking clamps engaged, Kayla glanced at her wrist. 61 hours left. And The timer was not Earth's, it was the builder's. She entered the station alone. The ship refused to accompany her. That which is born does not walk where the message ends. The AI had whispered as the hatch sealed behind her. She found Rayla's body exactly where R said it was, carefully placed. Covered with Rayla's jacket, hands crossed, eyes closed. Kayla didn't cry. She couldn't afford to. Not with her own guilt cracking open her chest like a hollow drum. They had parted in anger. Now they would never speak again. She removed the sat drive still embedded in Rayla's armor. But it was empty wiped. The message had been sent, but not saved. Only the second part remained, somewhere below. In the black archives. She turned toward the lower levels, where access had once been sealed by DNA lock. Rayla's blood had opened. The station. Now Kella's voice would have to finish it, but then the lights flickered and the walls spoke. Protocol Delta 71 activated, said a cold synthetic voice. An authorized human presence. Confirm identity. Kayla stood still. Kayla Mendez, clearance Sigma Tau. Voice print match. Ryla Mendez, kin, a long pause, match confirmed. Warning, unknown entities breach station hall, evacuation recommended. She didn't turn back. As she moved through the corridors, flickering memories surged her and Rayla as children, laughing over old tech scraps, racing data packets across the school's internal net. They had promised never to lie to each other. That promise broke when Kayla testified against the first colonization project, the one Rayla commanded. It had been flawed, dangerous. Kayla exposed it. Ryla never forgave her. Now Kayla was walking into the remains of that same doomed project's echo. She reached the archive chamber. Doors hissed open. Cold flooded out like mist. Inside, rows of strange artifacts hovered in suspension. Symbols she couldn't read glowed in deep blues and shifting reds. A central monolith pulsed. She approached it. Her presence triggered something. A hologram flickered to life. REI, but not the version Kayla remembered. This one was older. Eyes weary. Voice like sand. If you're seeing this, I didn't make it, the hologram said. The truth is worse than I imagined. Theta wasn't the last test site, it was the first. Earth has known for decades. The builders didn't come to invade, they came to stop what we became. We didn't win the war, we survived it by lying, and now they're coming back. Not to conquer us, to finish what we started. Kayla stepped closer, breath catching. You must finish the message. There's a third part. Buried in the quantum drive of the ship they left behind in the station's core. They hid it there so no one would trust it. You have to get to it before Earth does or before they do. Because the moment we decode it, Earth will know it created its own extinction. Suddenly, alarm screamed, motion detected. From the walls, Kayla turned. Backing out of the chamber, figures moved in the shadows fluid. Tall, unnatural, they didn't attack, they watched. Then one of them spoke, not in sound, but in thought. You carry the echo of the one who remembered. Kayla couldn't respond. You seek the last message. We will allow it, but not without a price. What price? She asked aloud. The figure stepped forward, something in its hand. Something glowing, a memory, not hers, yours, one you gave away. To forget who you were, the object hovered in front of her, a crystalline shard. She touched it and fell to her knees, screaming. A moment from her past surged back like fire. Not the testimony, not the project, but the night she first heard the builder signal years ago, during a decoding drill on Mars. She had heard the whisper. She had been the first, and she had reported nothing. She erased it, deleted the log. Hid it from REILA. She had caused this. She was the beginning of the lie. She gasped back to her feet. The figure faded, only the path downward remained. Kayla gritted her teeth. There was no turning back now. Not with the truth buried beneath their feet, and not with Earth already dispatching a retrieval fleet to intercept her, one that carried someone she thought was dead. Colonel Eris, and something inside him no longer human. Kayla descended into the final level of the station, where gravity bent unnaturally and the air grew colder with each step. The metal walls no longer looked human. Veins of alien tech pulsed beneath the surface, humming like a buried heart. The builders hadn't just left a message. They'd left themselves, or echoes of what they once were. Behind her, the corridor sealed. No turning back. She reached the station's core chamber, a vast cylindrical vault that curved into darkness. At its center hung the ship Ryla had mentioned, black glass like alive, not built, not flown, but rooted, as if it had grown from the station's bones. It pulsed once, and Kala's comes cut out. Even the AI aboard her vessel above went silent. She approached slowly. The surface of the ship shimmered, and a hatch opened, not a door, but an aperture that formed like a breath exhaled. A low voice whispered inside her head, "The echo arrives. Will you hear what you chose to forget?" She entered. Inside, time unraveled. The interior wasn't a chamber. It was a memory field. Every surface reflected images, some hers, some Rayla's, some utterly alien. A war fought in silence. Worlds torn by betrayal. And Earth standing at the center, not as a victim, but the origin. She touched the crystal at the ship's heart. The final message began. This is what they erased. We were the creators, not the victims. The first signal sent into deep space wasn't a call for help. It was a challenge, a declaration of dominance. Earth wanted to see who would respond and how quickly it could crush them. The builders came not to destroy us, but to warn us. And we killed them, Kayla stumbled back. The war was not won. It was paused. The builders severed the path to the truth by destroying Theta's core, but we rebuilt it, without knowing what we were rebuilding. Her hands shook. Now that you've found the final message, the lock is broken. The signal has reached them. They will return, not for vengeance, but to ensure we never repeat the mistake. Suddenly the ship groaned. A countdown began. Not digital. Biological. A heartbeat. Outside, above the station, Colonel Aras's fleet arrived. Ships bristling with stealth tech and plasma cores moved into formation. In the command ship's observation deck, Aras stood still, his eyes reflecting builder code. "Is she inside?" asked a voice beside him. Commander Vey, in human uniform now, but with skin just a shade too smooth. "She found it," Aras replied. "The last shard? And will she choose to send it?" He didn't answer, because Kayla now faced the final choice. Inside the alien ship, a console rose before her, builder and human code entwined. Two options pulsed. Transmit, contain. Transmit meant truth. Every world would know what Earth had done, how it started the war, how it lied, how Rayla died trying to make it right. Contain meant silence. Earth would remain safe, but the builders would still come and no one would be ready. Kayla reached for the console. A voice rang out. "Don't." She froze. Ryla, alive. She spun, but it wasn't her sister. It was Rayla's face speaking through a builder interface generated from her last moments. The message was personal. "Kayla, if you're seeing this, it means they let you in, that they chose you. But you have to understand, truth doesn't always save people. Sometimes it destroys them. Earth will burn if you send it. But maybe that's the only way we ever change." Kella's hand hovered, and then a timer appeared. Builder script, counting down 0 hours, 3 minutes, and 0 seconds. She had 3 minutes above the station. Earth's fleet locked weapons. Inside, the ship began to glow. Kayla looked up at the interface and made her choice. The moment she touched the control, the builder spoke. "She has chosen." Above, the station pulsed. The message launched. But it wasn't just data. It was a signal. A beacon. In the far reaches of space. Hundreds of builder ships activated, one by one. They turned. And started moving toward Earth. Aras stood still on the bridge, watching the first signal burst past their sensors. His eyes flickered with something almost human. "She chose the truth," he said. Commander Vey frowned. "Then Earth is already gone." And deep inside the builder ship, Kayla collapsed to her knees. She had 1 hour to escape, but the ship wasn't letting her go, because the builders weren't done with her yet. Kayla awoke to the rhythmic pulse of something ancient flowing through her veins. She was no longer standing, no longer inside the builder ship's chamber. She was floating weightless, suspended in a pale white sphere of light. Voices whispered around her, layered over each other like wind through shattered glass. Not language, meaning. You chose the path of the end. Now we offer you the beginning. She couldn't breathe. Yet she didn't need to. A vision unfolded around her Earth, rising blue and bright, then blackened, cracking open from within. Not from weapons, from something seated in the core. Something human-made, based on builder tech misunderstood and repurposed decades ago. Rayla had warned of it. The truth wasn't just about war. It was about what Earth did after, Kayla screamed. But her voice made no sound. Then she saw the other version. Earth, scarred but surviving. A transmission spreading, millions hearing the truth. Riots, uprisings, revolutions, old governments falling. New ones rising. The cost of truth, blood. But hope, too. The builders had shown her both outcomes. Your transmission unlocked consequence. But one message remains, buried inside you. The one you forgot to send. Her mind buckled. She saw herself 10 years ago on Mars, intercepting a flickering builder signal during an AI test protocol. She had silenced it, deleted it, not from malice but fear. She didn't want to believe Earth had started a war, but now she remembered, and with that memory, the message reassembled within her, a pulse of light, then a jolt of pain. Kayla screamed. Again, this time with sound. Her body collapsed onto the deck of the alien ship. She gasped for air, alive. The ship's walls shimmered. It had restored her. But she felt changed, more than human. Something in her DNA now carried the builder. Encryption? She was no longer just a messenger. She was the message. Her com crackled back online. A voice. Kayla, this is Commander Vey. We're preparing to board. Surrender peacefully. Kayla laughed bitterly, coughing blood. It's too late. They heard it, all of it. I know, Vey replied calmly. That's why I'm here to erase you. Above, Earth Command was in chaos. The final message had landed. Across every major network, Rayla's voice and now Kayla's interwove into a joint broadcast. Secrets classified for over 70 years were exposed. Terraforming failures, AI betrayal, first contact aggression, and the engineered war that followed. Humanity's betrayal was not of itself. It was of the universe. Riots broke out in 12 major cities. Sleeper agents activated. Truth fractured society. Back on Theta, the station trembled. Builder energy surged from its heart, forming a massive signal array not aimed at deep space but at Earth's moon. Kayla froze. That was never part of the war. As she remembered, the moon was hollow. Rumors whispered in deep military black files. An ark, a vault, a final safeguard. Vey, she whispered, trembling. What's under the moon? But Vey had already entered the chamber. Her eyes shimmered with builder light. Her voice was, "Come, you're not supposed to know that." Kayla staggered to her feet, clutching the builder crystal in her fist. They're coming for it, aren't they? She asked. Not to destroy Earth, to stop us from waking what we left sleeping. Vey nodded. And now you've accelerated the timeline. The vault will wake early. Kayla narrowed her eyes. Then help me stop it. Vey hesitated. Something flickered in her, some fragment of human memory buried beneath protocol. Then, without a word, she turned and shot Arras as he stepped into the room behind her. He collapsed with a stunned look, eyes fading. He would have killed you, Vey said. Why? Kayla whispered. Why help now? Because Rayla was right, Vey said. Truth changes people. Even the ones built not to change. Together, they ran. But outside, above Earth's moon, the surface began to ripple. Stone cracked. Light bled through ancient seams. And from within the hollow depths, something began to awaken. Not builder. Not human. Older. Waiting. And it had heard the final message. The moon fractured like a dying shell. Across Earth's night skies, people stopped breathing as a ring of silver fire split across the lunar surface. It wasn't an explosion. It was activation. Kayla and Vey watched from Theta's command platform. As builder glyphs lit up in patterns only decipherable by those who had lived beyond human time, the vault was opening. Not because the builders were coming, but because the final message had reached something older, something buried by the builders themselves. They didn't hide it from us, Kayla whispered. They hid it from them. Vay's face tightened. The builders weren't humanity's enemy. They were our wall. And we just tore it down. Back on Earth, chaos boiled over. Cities burned not from war, but from awakening. People who had unknowingly carried fragments of alien code in their DNA experiments from early builder tech began to change. Some screamed as visions poured through their minds. Others spoke in voices not their own. The message had unlocked more than memory. It had awakened inheritance. Kayla stared at her hands. The veins beneath her skin shimmered faintly. She was changing too. Not mutating, aligning. This wasn't just about truth, she murmured. It was about becoming something we weren't ready to be. A new signal burst from the moon, sharper, purer. It bypassed Earth's defenses. It wasn't a weapon. It was a call. Across the stars, builder ships stopped, reversed, waited. They would not intervene, because this was no longer their war. Below Theta Station, deep in the alien ship, a final chamber unsealed itself. Vay and Kayla descended together. Inside, a cradle of light pulsed softly. A humanoid figure hovered in stasis, neither alive nor dead, flesh wrapped in builder metal. Eyes closed, Kayla approached. The face was hers. Not exactly, older, sharper. Wiser, a version that might have been, might still be, the prototype, Vay said slowly. The one they built from your intercepted DNA years ago, the first human-builder hybrid. Kella's mouth went dry. Ryla never told me. She couldn't. She helped smuggle it here after you erased the original signal, she thought. One day you'd finish what she couldn't. Kayla touched the edge of the cradle. The figure opened its eyes. Not blue. Not human. Not builder. Both. You are the anchor, it said in Kella's voice. You are the path to survival, or extinction. Vay drew her weapon. If it wakes, Earth will never be the same. Kayla didn't move. The cradle began to dissolve. The figure stepped out, movements, fluid and exact. She looked at Kayla and smiled, not coldly, not warmly. Just inevitably, I was always part of you, she said. The part you denied, the one Ryla died to protect. Then she turned toward the command console. I will finish the message. Kayla lunged, but not to stop her. To join her. They touched the console together, and the final sequence began. Across Earth, every screen turned black, then white. Then a single symbol appeared. 2 hands, 1 human. 1 alien interlocked by a spiral of light. A new voice echoed across the planet. This is not surrender. This is evolution. The vault beneath the moon cracked wide. Something stepped out. Not a weapon, not a god, a mind. An old one. Watching. Waiting. And it whispered one phrase across all of Earth. Now we speak together, or we fall alone. Kayla looked up. We're out of time. Vay's comes lit up. Earth's fleets were scrambling, half fighting each other, half trying to aim at the moon. No one understood what they were dealing with, and the hybrid beside Kayla turned. There is one more message. One you haven't heard. Kayla blinked. I thought this was the last. The hybrid shook her head. No, the last message was never meant for you. It was meant for what's waking. The lights died. The station groaned. And across the stars, a second moon lit up, one no telescope had ever seen. Not until now, and it was moving, fast, heading straight for Earth. The stars themselves seemed to bend as the second moon drew closer, impossibly large, impossibly silent. No thrusters. No engines, just momentum carved by forgotten laws of physics. Earth's skies split open with fear. Kayla stood frozen on Theta's upper deck, Vay at her side. As the builder hybrid, the living message, watched the approach with serene understanding. It was never just a vault, the hybrid said. It was a lock, and now both keys have turned? Kella's voice cracked. What's inside that thing? The hybrid turned to her, judgment. Down on Earth, militaries scrambled. Nations that once called each other enemies now launched combined volleys toward the second moon. None of it mattered. The object didn't deflect or respond. The missiles curved away, righted by forces too old to measure. Inside the hybrid's mind, Kayla could feel it, a conversation happening without sound, a communion between her and the entity arriving, not words. Memories, recognition, the message wasn't to warn them, Kayla whispered, it was to wake them. The hybrid nodded, not to punish, to decide. Ryla had known. Her sacrifice wasn't to stop Earth's secrets from being exposed, it was to buy time, time to change, to evolve before judgment arrived, but Earth didn't change. It denied, then silenced, then buried its sins. Now they stood exposed, a signal. Erupted from the second moon. It wasn't energy. It was memory. Billions across Earth fell to their knees, eyes wide, seeing not their lives, but the truth beneath them, the first colonizations. The silent genocides of alien species rewritten in history as accidents. The Builder War, provoked by Earth's arrogance. The experiments on Builder prisoners that followed. It wasn't just war, it was erasure, systematic, deliberate, and built into Earth's very foundations. Kayla dropped to her knees. Her mind flooded with scenes she never lived but somehow remembered because part of her had always known. The voice of the judgment entity resonated not aloud, but inside every living mind. You built your world on silence. Now you will answer with sound. Then it asked a question. What is the worth of a species that forgets itself? A single tone rose sharp, endless. It was calling for a response. The hybrid stepped forward. I was born for this, she said. Kayla caught her arm. Wait, if you speak, it listens. If it listens, it decides. The hybrid nodded. That's the point. Kayla felt the builders watching through the stars, their ships still halted, waiting. They would not interfere. This judgment had always belonged to humanity. The hybrid raised her arms. Light surrounded her, and she spoke, not in words. In memories. She showed Earth's guilt, but so Earth's hope. She showed Ryla. She showed resistance. She showed Kayla, not perfect, not innocent, but willing to remember. Willing to carry truth even if it hurt? The tone stopped. Silence. Then, from the second moon, a low resonance emerged. A single phrase. You are not absolved, but you are not erased. The entity passed over Earth without striking. Its light dimmed. Its presence faded, and it turned away. Across Earth, the fires began to die down. People wept not from grief, but from understanding. They remembered. All of it. Kayla stood, breath shaking. It spared us. The hybrid looked to her, eyes glowing with something deeply human. No, it saw us. That was enough. Then she smiled faintly, stepping back into the builder ship. My purpose is complete. The ship began to dissolve into starlight. Kayla called out, wait, you can't just disappear. But the hybrid was already fading. We are what we remember, Kayla. Don't let them forget again. And she was gone. Only Kayla and they remained on Theta, watching Earth spin below, a world changed not by invasion but by truth. Kayla turned to Vey. What happens now? Vey looked at her, calm and unreadable. Now they decide what kind of future they deserve. Kayla nodded slowly, but far beyond Earth's orbit, beyond even builder reach. Something else watched the entire exchange from the dark between galaxies, and it whispered to itself, one species remembered. Let us see if others do the same, because Earth's truth had traveled farther than anyone imagined, and somewhere others were listening.